I'm Angela Ryder. I'm the Senior Manager of Aboriginal Services with Relationships Australia WA, and we work in partnership with Langford Aboriginal Association to run grief and loss workshops at the centre for Aboriginal community members. There's many stages of grief, and one of them is denial. And denial is the individual saying, this is not happening to me.
And one morning, very early, there was a knock on the door. And when I opened the door, there was a policewoman and a policeman there. I knew straight away that something was wrong, but I didn't know who. And I said, what is it? And they said, can we come in? And I knew then it was something that was going to be life-altering. Our daughter Gail died tragically and suddenly, and the police came, of course, to tell us. It was just the most horrific day, and for months afterwards I heard that doorbell ring at night time. There was no doorbell ringing, but I could just hear it all the time.
Finding out that my father was not my biological father when I was 8 years old, that was really traumatic. I'd like to find out one day, and I'd like to have the courage to find that person.
You know, I remember the officers coming to my front door, you know, and I was home by myself. You know, you just go blank, and then from there onwards, I just even today I still don't. I think to myself, you know, it's not real, and that's nearly 7 years ago. From when it first happened, I didn't want to tell people. You know, my husband was working up in Bindoon Hills up that way, and then I had to ring him, and I'd ring my daughter, and then my son had just gone back to work on the mines and to get him back, and then my sister, and I just didn't want to. It's a different sort of denial, that part, you know, too, see, because I didn't want to tell them that we'd lost David.
Another stage of grief is depression. Depression is a natural response to loss, and depression can last longer in some people than others.
Come from a huge family. Some of my aunties had like 10 to 12 children. Some only had 3. And whenever we have a family reunion, which sadly is always around a death in the family, so we all go home for sorry business and funeral. It's a terrible thing, you know, to see your sisters lose their children before them. And they're never really the same, eh? You start to look after everybody else, and because in our culture, like, I'm not their auntie, I'm their mum, my nieces and nephews' mum. And then it hit a point, I was feeling so flat, so just not well. Back home we have a word, Leon, it's like you're feeling in your heart, and it was just not there. It was like almost dead, and I just said something's wrong with me, but I don't know what. My doctor told me that I was suffering from depression, and I used to think that would be a bad thing, but I was really relieved.
Acceptance is part of grief, and it's not so much of getting over the loss of someone, but it's learning to live with that loss.
It's 9 years ago, but the pain of a loss is like this hard ball that lodges in your heart, and it doesn't go away. It just there's things that trigger it all the time, like a smell or music or a photograph, or somebody in the distance looks like, suddenly for a minute you think, oh, and then you know that it's not. And so you're constantly being caught unawares, so Although you have to accept reality, in many ways there's this tiny smidgen of hope that maybe it didn't happen. And I think of her every day. So in 9 years, there's not a day gone by that I don't think about her.
I will come and see you now. Next time I don't know when. But for now, how have you been? It's great to be here with you.
And then I went to Langford Aboriginal Association in partnership with Relationship Australia. They run a grief and loss. And that's when I found out that I wasn't alone.
I just feel I belong. I feel I've got a place in the group.
I had to take this time just to relax and
Feel very supported, and you don't have to talk if you don't want to. That's what I like about it. You can just go and sit and be.
And we're only talking about it the other day. If our group doesn't start up again for another couple of weeks, and you start talking about, we haven't been together for a while to talk about things and that.
The information in this DVD is not intended to be the answer, but aims to provide you with some tools and resources to help you and those around you cope with grief. We want to share our stories so you can cope with yours, and use this as a tool to empower you and your community. There are services and groups that are available to support you through any hardship and have aided us immensely.
your songs of ages. You'll never change. Oh, you're just an old phrase.